Welcome to Moonlight Madness, and today I'm doing your reading for water sign for the sun, moon and rising. And I'm taking a spread today which I've used for quite a while. It's called Bradley Valentine's Fairy Tarot Spread. I'll also be using the Enchanted Map, which is just there, by Colette Baron Reid, and the Wisdom of the Oracle by Colette Baron Reid as well. The first one I pulled today was the Ten of Cups. It's an extremely happy time. You may have reconnected with family members recently that you haven't seen in a long time. Or you may be looking at old pictures and photographs and going through some albums and stuff. You're extremely happy. You're having a balanced relationship with family, feeling emotionally balanced, people you can trust, offering love and support to those closest to you or your adopted family. Could be spiritual, could be a spiritual group you may have decided to join to help to control or elevate your innate natural abilities. Make space for those people in your life. You can have a happy home life. You may be seeking this. Maybe you're wishing to create your very own happily ever after. Emotions are building and gaining traction between you and another person. Crossing your path, we've got the Emperor is the Ten of Cups, which is crossing the Ten of Cups is the Emperor. And the Emperor card represents somebody who has got all those four qualities. He was holding a scepter in his hand, and the scepter represents having world concerns, or possibly you're part of a worldwide community, which is on the internet. In a spiritual sense, you may be a teacher of sorts, a spiritual teacher. So looking at things and thinking things through, you may be very logical at the moment. You may be acquiring worldly success on your intellect, and you're making very balanced decisions right now. This can also represent a father figure. So water signs are usually Cancer, Pisces or Scorpio. And sometimes you may have that heavily in your chart. I've got 3 placements in my chart. It would be Pisces, Scorpio and Cancer. And it says here that can affect a star sign as well. So it's saying here, you may be taking responsibility for others or staying organised with a methodical plan. It's important for your life's journey and easy to get caught up in excitement of dreams, but you need to make logical steps and follow through. You have what it takes. You have done this for quite a great deal of time. It's important for your life's journey. Easy to get caught up in that, but you need to cross your I's and dot your T's. It is preparation at the beginning, and it will save you a great deal of time. You have what it takes to be this spiritual leader. Communicate your vision. Find words to inspire others. Younger generation. The Emperor shows with a scepter. His globe is part of the online business, like a world wide web, where you give advice to the masses. You may feel a great responsibility, a paternal energy, like giving a sermon to the people who tune into your channel. You may have had a past life as a priest. Emperor is all 4 things. He is the discernment, the guarded, the not cold, but just very using his intellect. That's the King of Swords. You can also be at times the King of Cups, who is compassionate and heartfelt and tender-hearted and emotional. And then you can act in the Pentacles. You can be practical, an empire builder. You can be also a fire. Emperor represents all 4 kings. The King of Wands is the fiery, creative type, the passionate, the flirtatious, the star of the show, the person with drive. In the past, you have the 9 of Wands, which is quite lovely. I like that card. And it talks about, in the past, you may have had worried about worldwide events because of what happened with the coronavirus. You may have been scared for what would happen to the animals and the world when everything was impacted on the pandemic. You may have been trying to protect the earth, having a strong immune system, keeping your resolve. And the energy of the world can be very intense for people that are sensitive or psychic, like myself. People who possess superpowers, as I like to refer them to, I had this conversation with my nephew the other day, is look at being different as a superpower. It's not bad, we're just different. And it can represent environmentalists and those who love plants and animals or Mother Earth. You may have been an activist for causes that protect the oceans or other food alternative resources. A creative type or a person who is a patron of the arts. You may love to draw, paint, sing, play music, and you may have works commissioned in a gallery for a series of paintings or booked for sellout performances. So many untapped skills. Expressing them on a platform is key for you, and you will have grow personally and financially. If your heart is in your career, then it will shine like a beacon. You followed your passion, you made a success out of it, and a career from what you were passionate about. A natural gifted entrepreneur. A Nine of Pentacles is also up above here, so you've got 2 nines, which is interesting how you've got that. So the recent past is the 3 of Pentacles, so you've got a 3 and you've got 2 nines. The 9 you've had twice is representing an online business, working from home, trying to take some time out. You may have had to work really hard in the past to leave the past in the past. Being happily self-employed, creating a beautiful, serene environment for your own business from home. Do something luxurious for yourself. You're needing a little relaxation, some downtime. Self-love is required. You might need to go to a spa day, get your hair done. Right now you need to nurture yourself. You have worked extremely hard. Listen to some soothing music. The future is the Queen of Cups. This is your future person. See, she's got all the sunflowers around her. That's because she's got so many people vying for her attention. She gets very overwhelmed and she can suffer from burnout. She's very loving. She's comforting, emotional, intuitive, and she listens to her heart. She has intuitive insight she can trust, and she takes care of others, but doesn't look after herself and needs to take some downtime. She can get exhausted by environments very quickly. She can suffer from burnout. She's a future, a spiritual teacher, a mentor, being sure to give and receive. She's protecting future generations of up-and-coming spiritual readers through advice or needing assistance online. A serene and beautiful presence, a sense of calm. She radiates from her. She radiates love and peace. She also knows that you're thinking what you're thinking, and she's extremely intuitive. She understands your heart better than you do. Makes an outstanding counsellor who can help you with your big emotions. A soothing presence, a deep love for friends and family. She's tender-hearted and charitable. She often gives too much. She's experienced a lot of loss in her life. She may have become wiser and more discerning about who she lets in. Then you've got the Chariot. This is the card that's steering emotions, steering yourself through difficult times. You may have several things on the go. You may be doing, your side hustle, it's online business. You may also work a job. You may work 2 jobs. You may work a job plus you may do work and study. So you're trying to balance work and study, downtime, and an online business. A side hustle, self-control, work-related, travel, a new car, trying to multitask several projects at once, feeling very overwhelmed, staying centered, strong, determined, remain steadfast to your work, being diligent, try not to let bad influence steer you off your path. Drawing attention to your path or work can feel awkward, but it's essential right now. Be genuine and optimistic in your interactions with people and the public. Your excitement will shine through, your confidence will increase, maybe working a side hustle and balancing all these other things. Then you've got the Ace of Cups, and the Ace of Cups to me is a brand new love coming into your life. So I put the rose quartz there. Rose quartz is beautiful. My son explained to me the other day that rose quartz takes a long time to harvest, and it comes from remote parts of the world, and it is grown in the ground, and it's a formation, and it takes years. It's a gift from the earth. Ace of Cups is the love coming out of there's that dove that's peaceful, being at peace with yourself, at peace with your emotions. It's a new love. It's an effect of people around you. Their emotional bonds, emotional well-being, commit to relationships, building a life of love. When the ones we love, we send messages of love. A flirtation, empathy for those around you, finding a new home. A new person enters your life. It can represent a new phase of emotional intimacy with a current partner, believing in yourself when faced with a cup that runneth over. Big emotions allow love to flow freely from your own heart. Know you deserve love, an awakening of new psychic abilities or spiritual epiphanies. Allow your intuition to guide you. You may be going up a level. I call this an awakening, and I had mine when I had my near-death experience. When you have a near-death experience, you come out of it different. I know my mum did too. She had one and she could just know things. She would just tell me things and I go, how did you know that? Because she could see, hear and sense. You've got the five senses, the clairaudience, you hear them, clairvoyance, fast seeing, like seeing future events, 20 years in front, 5 years in front, 2 weeks in front, 2 years behind. Conversation might have happened 3 hours ago, but if you've entered a room and you sense it, a knowing, a sense of knowing is as another term. So you just know things, you feel things in your gut to the point where you feel sick. That's how I get when I know I'm not supposed to go somewhere. It's my vagus gland. It's very sensitive. I could never go in a car when I was a kid because I'd have to wear those bands on my hands, to the pulse points, because I used to get car sick because I was very troubled by cars. I've always had a fear of accidents in cars. I don't know why. I think my mother was in one when I was little. I was about 7, and ever since then, the car spun around and almost hit a house. And so now I'm very, very careful when I drive. I've been told I drive like a grandma, but I do it because I always had kids in the car. So I was trying to protect my children. And my 2 boys, the most important things in my life. And you got to remind yourself that they're big kids now. They've grown, but I still think of them as children. So I have been reminiscing about the past, and I came up with this beautiful photo of them when they were little. They were so cute. That little one on the left in the red is Chris. My other son, Miguel, is my eldest child. One's a psychologist, studying to be a psychologist. He's a very emotional little boy, and so is your eldest. He's got big emotions, and he's studying to be a master's of science. I'm so proud of both of them. But they both had very big emotions as kids. And then there's a book that I'm trying to remind myself that this is how I was as a kid. Memoirs of a Geisha. And if you can see it, I'm not on a little camera here, but it was a really old book and it was very popular back in the 1994, possibly. I lived in Sydney then, and everyone on the train used to catch a train to work. Everyone used to have that book. It was like the most popular book. And the guy that wrote it, Arthur Golden, he never wrote any other books after that. I don't know why. But talked about a geisha, a little girl that was adopted into the practice of making tea and the Japanese way of making tea and serving as a geisha. And, it's a real art form. I don't know if they still do it anymore, but it took that little girl who has all this water in her chart, all this emotion. That's how I kind of feel. As a kid, was a very emotional kid. So it says, you've got these abilities that are coming out now. So these abilities you may have had as a child. Maybe they were spellbound or they were locked up until a certain time when they were needed to protect you from the world. Because if someone knows you know things before they happen, then you could be automatically a target for people that don't understand you. Air sign, hopes and fears. The king of winter, this is who is around you, is coming into your life, is an air sign. They may be more mature than you. They may be older than you, represented by the star. I pulled the star card out. And they may have children as well, which is why I've got the 6 of Cups. They are an Aquarian zodiac sign around you. In Aquarius is represented as the grandfather of the air signs. Libra is the teenager, and Gemini is the baby of the air signs. These can also relate to being a college professor, a public speaker, brilliant ideas, and government officials. They get a bad rep for being cold, unemotional, guarded, offish, judgmental, discerning, but usually they're just assessing the situation to feel safe. Book him as an MC at a wedding, a CEO, a humanitarian, an activist, romantic sometimes. Just remember, still waters run deep, especially if they have water placements heavily in their chart. If they feel threatened, they will generally freeze people out of their life. And that's what I've done. And that's what I think everyone did when COVID happened. The childlike look on life is also, you may have kids, but you may also be like a child. You may look at life and be amazed by little things like watching a snail make its way across and there's like snail trails. That's, to me, is quite magical. I find the beauty in the littlest things. I find the beauty in walking outside and looking at butterflies and You know, things like that make me happy. It makes me think of my childhood. When I see art pencils or books or museums, it takes me back to when I was a child. And I used to love visiting art galleries and art and museums. And all these old photos, time capsules or old photos. Think back to those times in your life, to things that are facing you now, and remember how you handled them back then. Try not to put the past in a negative or positive light. And I think when you have two kids the same sex, there's a healthy competition between the two of them because they're both boys, and so they both want to prove their worth to you. I still try to break up arguments between my two boys because they're like chalk and cheese. They're so different from each other, but yet so alike. I call them my Siamese twins because they pretty much are like twins, but each one acts out the other's emotion on different days. And so they look to each other for, I guess, for comfort and support, and they're there for each other. My son reminds me of me, the oldest one, and the youngest reminds me of me too. We're similar. So you could be water placement in your chart and be an air sign. That's very possible. That can make you more sensitive to things and sensitive to people. This is the Enchanted Mat. I'm just going to pull out 2 cards for that one. These cards, I don't use them very often, so I kind of, like, they stick a bit, whereas the other ones are falling apart, but these ones, and sometimes they don't want to talk, as in they don't want to spit out what they're supposed to be spitting out. I have to connect more with them so I can get an actual read out of them. I shuffle weird too. I don't know how to shuffle, but I shuffle my way. Well, that wants to come out. Listening. Okay. Listening is a very big skill. In Asian culture, I've got a lot of friends that are Asian, because I used to work for Shiseido. And I did a thing in uni when I was doing, what was it called? Open Foundation. And there was this live performance with these 2 girls. They were twins, they looked like twins. One was up top and one was down the bottom. And they were both facing each other and doing very similar things. But what the gist of that whole performance art was that we need to listen 80% and speak 10. And you learn a lot by just listening. Oh, wow. I've been getting this card. I keep talking about butterflies. Transformation. We've just come out of Pisces season, which is quite emotional. And before that was Aquarian season. So we've got Metamorphosis. I like that. This is change. So we're coming into a new season. That makes a lot of sense. We're coming into Easter, which is, I guess, spring in the southern hemisphere, the northern hemisphere. Yeah, you're in the process of deep and beautiful change. Butterflies earn their wings through great effort. The process of change is often painful, for it never ever loses and sacrifices. If you were to transform from one form to another, a part of you needs to die. Letting go isn't easy, especially when you're thinking a certain way about your life and how you live it. Just as a snake sheds its skin on a caterpillar dies, so that a butterfly can be born, you're required to release your old ideas and embrace the necessary change so you can live your best life. Perhaps you're being asked to let go of low self-worth, a dream that no longer serves you, or a relationship that is draining. Despite your fear, you must accept that this is a transformational time for you. There will be some loss involved, but you'll love what you become. So you may be deciding to take up a new exercise regime or do something where you're moving more and you're getting rid of your stresses through movement, or singing, or drawing, or painting, or reading, and expressing yourself on a platform like this. I think sometimes we don't express ourselves enough, and especially boys. Boys are frowned upon if they express their emotions. You're meant to be tough and take it on the chin. Well, I don't agree with that. Boys cry too, and so they should be allowed to cry. They are human. We're human. We're not meant to hold our emotions, and if we bottle them up, like I do, I guess I'm very much like a boy. I bottle my emotions up. And then when they come out, they're big emotions, I explode, but not in the positive way. So I try to diffuse it and talk about it to therapists and things like that. That's a really good way to express yourself. I think that's very important for all boys to have a therapist, because boys are the ones that are, again, frowned upon for having emotions. When this card appears, you're being reminded that there is a time to speak and a time to be silent. Now is an occasion for listening. Pay attention not only to what is being spoken, but to what is not being spoken and said at the moment. For the deeper message is not always obvious. Listen with your heart, not just your ears, and you'll find clarity. Receiving the listening card is a fortunate sign and ensures a greater understanding of your circumstances. And so I had a vision in my sleep. I was touching my baby's photos and baby clothes, because I've been unpacking a lot of stuff from my storage, which was my mum's house, and some of it was in a storage bin. And it's been like this for about 4 years because of COVID and whatever else, separated by COVID, and everything was got shut up from a 3-bedroom, and then I was condensed to living in a room because I couldn't get a place to live, and I moved just in time to this little university dorm, and so everything's been everywhere. It's been chaotic for the last 6 years. But what I've come out of that was learning different cultures express themselves in different ways. And when you touch something, an object, you get a read off it. Well, that's how I work. I work with psychometry. I get reads off things. And so I was playing with these clothes, these baby clothes, and I went to sleep, and I dreamt about my son being lost in a shopping centre. And I'm running around and screaming his name, Miguel, 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 Christopher. And I'm looking for them everywhere. It was a memory because it was attached to the baby clothes. And the baby clothes were the things that I kept and I had been playing with. And so that's why I had that dream. So you don't realise exactly what can go in your head when you're half asleep. When you're in I call it the deep REM sleep. That's when I usually get them, around 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I woke up with a sense of dread. I now realise that dread was an old memory. So I have to be careful what I touch. I'm looking at wearing gloves. I have been wearing gloves to open the front door, but I still see things. I still get impressions. So it's like I can't switch them off. They're there all the time. They're in my sleep. They're in my waking hours. Doesn't matter how much water and food I've had. I'm just now different. And that's what is hard when you don't fit in and you feel you don't fit in. You feel alienated by people because you can't be around them for too long because you pick up on their energy. You don't necessarily want to pick up on their energy, so you hibernate, and that's where I'm at. I hibernate in my room. But this is my way to protect my energy and to have a little bit of chill out time, because it's very hectic out there, the energy in the world right now. Very, very hectic. That's all I have for you. I hope that helps someone. Thanks, Water Signs.